In 1946, an elephant was born in the Indian jungle. His life resembles a fairy tale because he became a star before attaining glory and immortality. His era is legendary, but this is simply the true story of an extraordinary animal with an extraordinary destiny. What events made this unique elephant the representative of his kind in the pantheon of animals?
Hello.
Hello there.
I'd like a ticket, please.
I'll take your skates.
Thanks. Okay.
Thank you. Enjoy your visit.
Bye.
Bye.
Look at all these animals. Wow, you sure are huge. Are you looking at me? Can you hear me?
My name is Siam.
You can talk?
If you believe strongly, why not? And you, tell me your name.
My name's Tom.
Well then, Tom, do you like elephants?
Yes, I do.
How would you like to hear the wonderful story of Siam?
Not a fairy tale. You mean a true story?
Why, of course it's a true story. Everything I'm going to tell you about Siam's life, incredible as it may seem, is true. As true as your name is Tom and as I'm a museum attendant. To begin with, then, you have to keep your eyes shut.
Why?
To understand the life of Siam, you have to imagine a jungle in India. Are you there yet?
I think so.
That morning, the Jungle Book got ready to write one of the most moving tales in its history. Excitement is in the air as they all prepare to hail the event. The young elephant has been away from her herd for over a month. Soon she'll be giving birth to her first baby. The baby elephant is bound to have a big appetite, like its mother. If it's a male, he'll inherit his father's superb tusks. You see, Tom, Siam's life could have been very peaceful, but his life was turned upside down.
What happened? Did he get hurt?
No. A jungle has no limits for elephants, or so they think. And one day, they crossed human territory.
Was the whole village ruined? Even the school?
No, I don't think there was a school, but what I can say for sure is that the villagers were furious to have lost everything. And so they decided to capture the elephants, every one of them.
To kill them all?
No, not at all. The villagers had something else in mind. To trap the elephants, humans invented kedas, enormous traps, craters made from tree trunks stuck in the ground.
Were all of them captured? Even the babies?
Yes, all of them, except... Here's Siam, drawn by the hand of fate. The year is 1946, and our baby elephant is stuck in a trap. Accident or fate? No one will ever know. Siam makes a discreet entrance into the human world, but his incredible journey has only just begun. Like the orphaned elephants that are still taken in today, Siam learns the reality of life in the camps. He learns harsh human laws, to forget life in the wild, accept new companions, and eat regular and peculiar meals. Tell me, Tom, do you always eat what your mom prepares?
It depends. Sometimes I don't like it.
Well, Siam felt the same way. He didn't like his food at all, you see. Plus, he had to obey, and that was really very hard for him. Like children, baby elephants love sugar. So the caretakers hid some in the food to get them to eat it. After a meal, elephants need to stretch their legs. Siam is used to taking walks. He's been at the camp for 6 months. But this time the road is much longer than usual. So many animals in one place. Horses, camels, birds. Welcome to Sonapur, Tom, the biggest animal market in the world. But above all, the only market where elephants are bought and sold. In India, elephant owners are proud. Some come to Sonapur not to sell, but to show off their animals. Here, elephants are the main attraction. But Siam didn't go to Sonapur just for show, even if crowds probably thronged to admire him. This is where he was sold when he was only 16 months old. Siam's going to have a new owner. Fortunately, his keeper, or Maut, won't be leaving him. He's cared for him since his capture.
आप साइड हो जाइए थोड़ा पीछे से
You're not asleep. Are you, Tom?
No, sir, I'm listening.
Oh, good. Because for the elephants of Sonapur, it's a great day. The sale is about to begin. The Maouts work hard. Not a speck of dust or dirt must remain. They brush, rub, and polish, and the elephants adore it. Siam has to look handsome, very, very handsome, so his owner can get a high price for him.
यहाँ तक कि हमारा मकान पर जो दो छत है उस पर चढ़ जाता है सीढ़ी द्वारा
Siam's new owner had to pay a lot of money, but no one knows the exact price of our incredible elephant. That's how it is in Sonapur. Transactions are always confidential.
चला हो गया
A long journey lies ahead for Siam. He's headed for Kerala in the south of India, over 2,500 kilometers from the state of Bihar. His arrival must have been a great event in the village. An elephant's arrival is always cause for a celebration. It must have been a wonderful party. In late 1948, Siam was still only a baby and loved drinking milk. Siam grew up in the human world. He adopted very different behavior from wild elephants. How could he mistake a motorbike for his mother? Siam needs reassuring, but above all, he's afraid of being abandoned.
An elephant playing football?
Yes, original, right? but the age of innocence is gone so quickly. Siam is now 7 years old, and his owner decides to take him to a camp where he owns other elephants. It's time for him to be trained. At this age, Siam is irresistibly attracted to females. Here he is. He's fallen in love.
I'm in love too, sir, but I'm not saying who.
Aren't you the lucky one, then? Siam couldn't stay with her for very long. He had to abandon her. He was needed elsewhere for his strength, and more than that, for his great agility. For 4,000 years, humans have put the elephant's strength and intelligence to work for them. They became ideal helpers for lumberjacks. They're able to work on the steepest terrain where no machines can go. These giants can carry up to 2 tons of wood and a quarter of their weight, thanks to their trunk. Siam's agility is astounding. He has to toe the line for his mahout to the millimeter. The feet are used to give each of the orders, even complex ones. In silence, the mahout communicates with his elephant. Lift your right foot a bit more. That's it. Head to the left. A little further. Go ahead. Slowly. There we are. When elephants obey, it's because they are loved and respected. It's not all work. When the day is over, there's still some time for fun. Siam blossoms and leaves no one indifferent. And so he gets a promotion. He joins the elite, the clan of the most beautiful elephants in southern India. What you need to know, Tom, is that in ancient Hindu mythology, the most popular god is Ganesh. He's represented by the head of an elephant, the son of Shiva, master of the cosmos, one of the most popular divinities. And to honor the gods, huge parades are organized. Just like Indian people, Elephants chosen for the ceremony belong to a caste. Here's Siam, now in the Brahmin caste, the highest. And here's Subramanya, one of the gods worshipped in India. He brings prosperity and success to his followers. He's the master of the universe. Each Indian god is linked to an animal which they travel on. Subramanya rides a peacock. By doing so, he shows he has conquered pride, egotism, and vanity. For more than a year, the people bow down before Siam, Siam the elephant and living god. But one evening, they take off his costume. It's now January 1956, and Siam will no longer participate in any ceremonies.
What happened?
Well, Siam's keeper, he'd heard that his elephant had just been sold and was going to live far away from India. Siam was sold off based on just a photo. He'll have to leave his Maut now, who he's never been separated from. For the first time, he'll have to go it alone. The man and the elephant have no choice but to say farewell to one another. Siam is used to traveling by truck, although I'm sure that this time he knows.
What does he know?
He knows that he'll never come back. Siam's life is going to change radically. Soon the forest, rivers, colors, and scents of India will be far behind him. The road is poor. In a few hours, Siam will reach the port in Calcutta. An animal trader from Germany is expecting him. The man has one order: to find a male elephant, a rare specimen. Siam's fate is sealed. Like many of his kind, he'll leave for Europe. Europe is fascinated by exotic animals and wants to claim them for itself. Loaded onto a cargo ship, Siam takes to sea. He passes the coast of the Pondichéry port, joins the Arabian Sea as far as Djibouti, and crosses the Red Sea. In the hold, Siam is patient. He eats masses of fruit, vegetables, and fodder. The Egyptian heat is stifling, but our elephant bears up. Port Said marks the end of the Suez Canal. Now he must cross the Mediterranean. After his long trip, Siam arrives in Italy, entering the port of Genoa. A photographer immortalizes the event. The year is 1956, and for the first time, Siam poses for posterity. Meanwhile, his new owner is waiting for him, Mr. Rolf Knie, and he's impatient. Siam heads off again, to Zurich. On a train now, his carriage is a tight fit. His journey ends on foot.
On hoofs, more like it.
250 kilometers to reach Lausanne. As if by magic, all year round, the Knie's world pops up in every major city in Switzerland. The Knie Circus is one of the most prestigious in Europe. It belongs to a family dynasty that began in 1803. The elephant acts are very famous. Today, Franco Knie Jr. carries the torch. Franco is 35, but he's already spent a lifetime training elephants. With immense pride, on June 4th, 1956, the Knie Circus films Siam, their new recruit, for the first time. From now on, he's one of the family. In this surprising document, we see Siam discovering the lush green Swiss countryside. The journey was very tiring, and Siam needs rest. Very soon, he's entrusted to a trainer named Rupert Bemerl. Siam is no longer alone. Rupert doesn't know it yet, but the elephant is going to change his life. In India, he was a worker, Rupert would say. Here, we've made him an artist. "1962 is a watershed in Siam's career. Meki, a pretty young dancer, joins the troupe, and Rupert is infatuated. Rupert asks Meki to perform on Siam's tusks. The act is brilliant, an overnight success. Siam begins an international career.
Also 1963.
In 1963, with my husband and Siam, we went to a circus in Sweden with no animals. It was on a contract with Knie, and we were hired along with the animals. We had lots of fun with Siam, who was like a pet dog for my husband. He was perfectly obedient.
An elephant in the land of reindeer? Can you imagine that, Tom? Santa Claus would never get over it. But Siam hides his true face from the audience.
It wasn't always easy for me to work with Siam. I was a rival to him. Since he loved and venerated my husband, and I was between the two. He sensed that someone else was important. That's why sometimes he didn't want to work with me as we'd planned.
As he grows up, Siam's character changes. We might say that it was females that made him lose his head. At the reproductive age, elephant behavior changes. They become more aggressive, even uncontrollable.
Suddenly, this elephant was a problem. He started to see the other keepers kind of like competitors, because they were looking after the females. It became so dangerous that they were asked to keep a safe distance.
One night in October, Siam mistakes an assistant for a rival. He's furious. He charges directly at him, seriously injuring him.
But Sam's very intelligent.
Don't forget, Tom, that Siam is still an animal. Men consider him a friend because they trained him to obey, but Siam will always have elephant instincts. It was too hard for the circus to handle, and so they had to part with him.
After
After the accident with Siam in '63, the Knie company decided to give him to a zoo or to sell him because no one could approach him anymore.
At the same time, Pierre Etex, a two-time Oscar-winning director, wanted an elephant for his next film, Yo-Yo. He heard that Knie wanted to part with Siam. Our fallen artist just might become a movie star. The Knie Circus agrees, and Pierre Etex has his elephant. But it may be just a dream, since he's got to convince his producer Paul Clodon, who doesn't see things his way.
Look, an elephant is out of the question. Wouldn't you prefer... I'll get you anything you like, but for example, why not a goat? So I thought to myself, producers' perspectives on things are always interesting, but not in this case. I took him by the collar and said, no, an elephant. And the elephant came.
And so Siam and Rupert leave Switzerland and head for France. Our globe-trotting elephant notices that over time, carriages are becoming surprisingly smaller. On August 15th, 1964, the convoy reaches the La Chapelle station in Paris.
His arrival was interesting. When I saw him, flanked by motorcyclists, arriving on the road in Dourdan, up to here, it was a great moment.
And what's the movie about?
In a huge chateau, a millionaire is very bored. He has it all, but he's bored by everything. Just for fun, he calls in a circus. And he finds the woman he's always been in love with, a beautiful horseback rider. And learns that he has a son, Yo-Yo. It's 1929, and with the stock market crash, the millionaire is ruined. Time passes. Yo-Yo grows up and becomes a famous clown. He buys and restores his father's abandoned chateau, but realizes that he prefers the freedom of life on the road.
And what was Siam's role?
Siam was Yo-Yo's childhood friend, and when Yo-Yo grows up, Siam comes to get him and take him back to the life he loves, the circus. It's very symbolic. You know, Tom, when you're an adult, it's not uncommon to try to find the treasures of childhood that you lost.
I was very scared one day when the elephant had to enter a living room. The elephant got to the first step, stopped. When he put his foot on it, he sensed it was unstable. He did not want to go up. He was scared, and he started trumpeting. The trainer and I went to look at the steps. He said, "Look, there was a step with a crack in it." The crack was barely visible. A hairline fracture. With the boy on his trunk, if the step had collapsed, he would have risked crushing the boy. This elephant was particularly gifted in this role as a circus performer.
Once the last scene is played, the world ends for Rupert. He didn't know his friend had been promised for many months now to the zoo in Vincennes. He was heartbroken. How could he possibly leave the elephant he'd cared for since he came to Switzerland, his animal friend, for 8 years?
They could try to run away.
Yes, and hide in a little mouse hole, perhaps? No, Tom. This is not the movies. No, Rupert could only resign himself to it. The crew learns at this point that the two friends will never meet again.
My most moving memory is his departure. When I saw him replay his circus act alone with his trainer in the courtyard, that was a sublime moment, but also infinitely sad because I thought, after this, it's over. He's leaving, but where's he going?
Siam once again finds himself in the hands of fate and heads off into the unknown. Our elephant, with his unusual past, is still young, just 18. It just so happens that a Parisian zoo is also looking for a star. Rare animals are fashionable. On August 28, 1964, Siam arrives in Paris. From now on, he'll live at the Vincennes Zoo. "20 years later, Siam has become a giant, a national treasure. He reigns supreme over his territory. He's the king of the zoo, a facetious king who does whatever he likes. Often at the expense of his caretaker, André Boitard.
If he didn't like you walking past, he'd pick up a stone and he'd throw it at you. He did it all the time, but we knew. If there were no rocks available, he lifted himself up, practically on 3 legs, got a branch from the chestnut tree above him, and threw it at us. He was grumpy. and yet so lovable. You couldn't help but love him. He was spoiled, like the others, but Siam was Siam, a phenomenon. He was surely the most beautiful elephant in captivity.
Siam must have been bored at the zoo. He stopped performing.
That's right, just like a retired clown. The zoo was a kind of refuge for Siam. He lived with other elephants, he was well cared for. He was the star of the zoo. All the children knew him. And sometimes he had visitors. Well, one day, Rupert was in the crowd. He hid behind some visitors, and he shouted out the orders for all of his tricks, and...
No way.
At first, Siam didn't budge. But when he recognized that it was Rupert, he started to obey. Lift your foot. Luft. The other leg, Siam. Come on. Raise your trunk. Rangu. Now dance. Waltzer. La, 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 la.
Despite his power and temper, he was an extraordinary male for reproduction, with no problems with the females at all. There's a mating period for elephants, known as must, which can involve male aggression. Siam wasn't aggressive at all during musts, so he was a great breeder for Asian elephants in Europe.
Siam was a real heartbreaker, and competition was tough to seduce the only male. The females argue with each other to remain his favorite, and there are no holds barred, not even low blows. Throughout his lifetime in captivity, Siam had 15 babies. Then, there was the hoof problem. That damned hoof that hurt him so badly. Siam spent all his time in the water to relieve the pain.
Siam was the biggest elephant in captivity in the world. When you're the biggest, you have the problems that come along with that. 80% of the weight is carried on the forelegs, owing mainly to the weight of the head. It puts great pressure on the nails, and after a while, compression points develop on the front feet, creating abscesses.
The infection in Siam's two forelegs was deep. Experts from Germany were sent over to operate. The operation was difficult. It took 3 hours, which seemed endless for André Boitard, the caretaker. Despite the vet's best efforts, Siam still wouldn't wake up.
After an elephant has been lying down a long time, when he starts to move, the toxins that have accumulated in the muscles start to circulate and can threaten the kidneys, the heart, and so on. After a while, our big Siam stood up, supported by cords. It was really a long wait. Unfortunately, the abscesses were quite well advanced. And despite the operation, we had to face the facts. It wasn't enough to treat and really cure the problem.
One day, a meeting was held with the vets, the director, and caretakers to decide to have him put down.
Is that how he died?
Yes. He just went to sleep. After 33 years at the zoo, Siam, like the Sphinx, died on September 24th, 1997. He was 51.
It's very painful, because he was so unusual. He was an animal that was a treasure for the zoo. The zoo wasn't the same without him.
With a legend like Siam's, by ending the elephant's life, we knew it was very painful for many people who venerated him because of his type and character. So it really felt like it was very destructive, even if we had to face the facts that it was the only solution for him at that point.
People couldn't face abandoning Siam. They were too attached to his memory, to his life. And so the National Museum of Natural History in Paris decided to pay him an eternal tribute. Siam was to be preserved by taxidermy. Jacques Tinet, a renowned taxidermist, took on this heavy responsibility.
It's been said before, he was an exceptional animal for his size, his ivory, etc., but also because of his past. The animal's life is part of the specimen. You can't separate the two. And if we forget, those that knew him remind us. What was specific and special about Siam's taxidermy operation is that there were a lot of people who knew him and who gave the operation another dimension, which I had to assume. People kept calling me, the caretakers, Pierre-Tex, and his trainer. How's it going? Can we drop by? When will it be done? Their expectations weighed in heavily in terms of my work. It was the first time I'd ever handled such a monumental specimen. There were no mistakes, as luck would have it, and that luck continued until the end, until he was installed in the Grande Galerie de l'Evolution, in the Evolution Gallery.
And 3.5 years after his death, Siam was resurrected. Well, so to speak. He made his entrance into...
The Grand Gallery.
That's right, Tom. Into the Grand Gallery. Getting him through the doors wasn't all that simple.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but we're about to close.
Even the best stories have to end. Siam will forever remain the most worthy representative of his species. He led an exceptional life among humans. He taught them quite a bit. And though his story is part of history, children like you can make it a living legend.